Give me 5 minutes of your time and I'll share something about life, God, and the Bible. King David begins Psalm 4 with a cry to God. Answer me when I call to you, my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. Psalm 4 verse 1. As we read and pray Psalm 4, we see that David is running away from his enemies. They do not share the same values in life as David. In fact, the next verse he describes how these enemies are coming for him. How long will you people turn my glory into shame? How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Psalm 4 verse 2. David's enemies are out to get him. They want to put him down and shame him. David also says that his enemies love delusions and seek false gods. David has a different set of values of life from his enemies. Here in Psalm 4, David turns to God. He's not afraid to tell God that his enemies do not share the same God as him. They love delusions and seek false gods. We know that David is on his bed. He's trying to sleep. Psalm 4 verse 4. Tremble and do not sin. When you're on your bed, search your hearts and be silent. However, David cannot sleep. He keeps thinking about his troubles and his enemies. As he thinks about his struggles, he prays about them. He brings his problems before the Lord, his God. Finally, David has some peace in his heart. He realizes that he is now in a safe place. God is there for David. The Lord makes David dwell in safety. This is how the psalm ends. Psalm 4 verse 8. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Here is the story of Tim, who is finding it difficult to go to sleep on his bed. When I awake in the night, my mind sometimes tends to race. That's when my problems on parade prevent me from going back to sleep. Events of the day revisit me, disrupting my slumber and turning me into a tossing, turning, sheet-pulling worrywart. It's 2 a.m. and the battle has been raging in my mind and the battle that has been raging in my mind has now switched to a struggle for sleep. After some time, my pleadings for the rest I deserve and need become demands. But finally surrendering, I begin to pray. I've learned to be specific and direct in praying for each situation that has been tugging at me. One by one, each float in this parade of problems is removed from the line with the words, "Thy will be done, not mine." Instead of clinging to my wisdom and my human solutions, I visualize myself placing each problem in God's hands. I actively, deliberately leave all my worries with God because He cares for me. 1 Peter 5:7. And sometimes, even before I finish the list, I am asleep again. In the morning, some of the same problems may come back to mind. When that happens, I remind myself often and prayerfully that I have turned them over to God. Both Tim and King David remind us of the reality of this verse. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. They can go to sleep because they have brought all the things that challenge them before God in prayer. Rather than being obsessed by these problems and worrying about them, they decide to bring them before God in prayer. Eventually, peace develops in their minds and in their hearts. They realize that they can sleep because the Lord now makes them dwell in safety. Amen.